Happy to be here.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Buckmeyer. Good evening, all. And welcome to our Monday Night Live. And before we continue, let's begin with a word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we want to give you thanks for our session today, and we pray for your continued leading and guidance in what we're about to discuss. Pray that all would be made clear so our minds would understand and make changes when needed. This is our prayer in Jesus' name, amen. All right, so good evening and welcome. Our topic of discussion is about healthy diet for weight management. We're looking at weight loss. I know that there might be questions of, well, how do I put on weight? So I could give you a few pointers on that as well. But question out to you, when you think about overweight, what comes to mind? What do you think makes one start to think, well, maybe I'm over my weight? What are some of the challenges that one may encounter? Anyone? What are some of these challenges? Overeating, eating too much. Yeah, medication can cause you to be a bit puffy. Yeah, I've had individuals who are concerned about the effect of their med and their weight. And
Eating at the wrong time, late in the night.
yeah, that happens. And yeah, you find folks really have that weight. Nice. And I would also suggest maybe you're putting on your clothing and it tends to feel a bit tight or not fitting at all. You're trying to zip up a zip or, and it just wouldn't go past your waistline. So, ladies, you have put on that extra weight. So when that happens, you start to really watch what you're eating. And many times, sadly enough, individuals would say, I would just stop eating. And I would say, no, 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 don't do that because that's not a healthy way to lose your weight. So I have a little slogan that I'm going to teach you how to lose your weight without losing your plate. How about that? Losing the weight without losing the plate, and show you that yes, you can eat healthily, but at the same time, you can, have that weight loss that you're looking at. Okay, so we have that. Now that we have established that, I am just sending a note to two friends here, and I encourage you to do the same. Good. So I'm talking to you from True Health Lifestyle Center, located all the way in Trinidad and Tobago. And we have a couple of sessions coming up. Number one, we have a residential program that's starting at the end of this month, the last day, November 30th into December. It's really a good time for you to get a head start for the new year. And take it in December because in January, we don't have a program of such. It comes later in the year. So if you do get a head start and notice it's done before Christmas, so you'd learn how to prepare all these healthful, nice, delicious foods over the holiday season and not feel guilty about partaking in anything. Because even if you had to go to a family member for dinner, you can take your own food and share with them. So, offer to carry a particular meal and share with them, or sort of scan through what they're offering and see how you can best pull some items from what they have offered in order to make a nice, healthy plate for you. But more than that, it's the festive season and you want to eat well. And to make it through there safely, through the holiday season safely and not overindulge. So again, at the end of the year is when you can reflect on your own health, do some lab work, see where you're at, and really get a support and push into making that change. And we're here to hold your hand and take you through the process of doing that. Our slogan is healing the whole body, healing the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. Healing the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. We also have, and we did just last week, our second diabetes support group for general. We've been doing it already with smaller groups, but now it's wider. And so every first Tuesday of the month, we have our diabetes support group. So make sure you know how you can log on to that. This is the meeting ID, and we're starting at 6:30 p.m. AST time. That would be 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Caracas time, 6:30. And similarly for our cancer support group, being the last Thursday of every month. And we did have our session previously. We have one coming up in November month. And that as well has its own WhatsApp group where we have been posting items in there. So make sure you join that. I'll put the links up at the end of this session. And for others who are here in Trinidad, I don't have the picture, but I will make sure and have it next week. We do have a medical missionary training coming up, and that is in the month of January. So to check with us on our True Health WhatsApp group, we've been putting the ad there. And I really want to encourage you to consider joining the upcoming class. It's going to be well in depth. Having done other classes, doing the practical sessions and teaching them and having them come to the center, which is part of your package, that you come to the center to work with real people when we have our residential program. And we've had learnings from those experiences. So the session that's coming up going to be a little bit more in depth, intense, driving and re-emphasizing certain points, especially for the hands-on features, the hydrotherapies and other areas. So the massages and so on. So we do look forward to seeing you joining us, and share it with your church group so that they too can participate. Let's get into this topic. I'm really excited about it, looking at healthy weight loss and using a total plant-based diet, a healthy way, a healthy plant-based diet in order to accomplish this, because there are other diets that will be promoted for weight loss. Ketogenic diet, for example, low carbohydrate diet, and those are not altogether balanced. So how could you have a balanced plate, getting all the nutrients that your body needs and still lose weight? Is it a mystery? And we're going to have no limit on portion sizes. So how about that? Now, just to set a foundation, what is your BMI? What is your body mass index? And you can simply go online and look for a chart looking like this. It's like the simple, easy way, because there would be other ways to calculate your body mass index. And so, for example, you can take your metric weight over over calculation. I had it earlier, but it was like so complicated. And for your height, so your weight and your height. But this one, I like the height in inches, because most people would know 5 feet, 4 feet, 6 inches tall. 5 feet 5 inches. So you can just go down the line here. So for example, 5 feet 5 inches, good. And then how much do you weigh? Are you 120? Maybe I am. And that brings me at a BMI of 20. So that's fantastic. I'm in the green. So you don't even have to worry. What does it mean? I'm in the green. Green means great, and look at here, optimal. If you're in the red or orange, that's what we're talking about today, and yellow band. So how do we get you back into this green and help you to stay healthy? It's important for us to have a healthy body mass index, a healthy weight, because then you're better able, you're more robust, you're better able to fight off infectious conditions and diseases that may come your way. Even for autoimmune conditions, you want a healthy weight. Overweight is associated with arthritis, associated with autoimmune diseases. Overweight is associated with cardiovascular uh, heart disease. So we want to make sure having a healthy weight, we are actually preventing or supporting our bodies or even reversing some of those other conditions that you may already be facing. You got to lose the weight, and your doctor may be telling you this already. So let's take a look about on how we can accomplish it. So as I mentioned before, that there are many ways of to help you lose weight. There are other aspects that might cause you to increase your weight. So you might be sedentary, a couch potato, or sitting, you're working, you're at the computer, you're driving, you're sitting in some public transport, in transportation, movement from one place to another, and you're not getting physical activity comparable to the amount of time that you're literally sitting and not doing movement. So in that way, you may just put on weight. Yeah, and coupled with that, you might be eating excess calories, and that altogether, you might be having problems with sleeping. You might be consuming caffeine and other items that like protein drinks and all of those things that would cause you to bulk up. You might have certain medications. So we're not looking at those aspects this evening. We're looking and focused on diet. And I tell you, the session is really packed. I'm not sure if I'll get it through in one session. If not, we put it off for an, part two. But the diet piece is really sweet, and I'm glad you're here to learn. And so feel free to raise your hands and ask questions as we go along. At the end, we will have a portion of time for Q&A. Now, what is the best diet for man? And we're told in Genesis 1:29 that God gave the food for the meat for man. What was it? Was it animal? Does anyone know? What was the meat for man? Was it animal? Yes or no? Okay.
No.
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 Okay, fantastic. Originally, no, because it's little nice creatures. You don't want to be killing it and eating it. They would have been running from Adam's teeth, and instead of a smile, they're just seeing, I'm gonna come eat you. So hope the animals around you feel safe, that you're not gonna go out and eat it. Because, and when we say meat, I like to put the animal, the meat with a face. So either it's a cow, cattle, a goat, a sheep, uh, or it's a chicken, a fish. They have lives, and they have friends, and they have families, and they have their own idea of purpose on the face of the earth, but they don't think of themselves as being fit for food, to be preyed on by man. So I hope you feel so gross by that now. So the thing is, in Genesis 1:29, we're told about the seed bearing tree, and that is given to us for our food. And so the seeds and the fruit and the grains, that's given to us for our food. In Genesis 3:18 comes about and talks about the plants, the herb of the field. And so that's where you get our leafy greens, our vegetables. And then there was another in Genesis 6 that talks about the flood. And after the flood, all vegetation was gone. And Noah had what they had in the ark. But what about the rest? And so as time progressed, God permitted man to eat animal food. And that was for emergency, to eat the animals, and as part of their diet. But what do we see happening as they did so? The lifespan of man just reduced drastically. Whereas before the flood, man lived up to 969 years, but after the flood, it dropped into the hundreds and then just came down until you see in the Bible, it speaks about 70 years and 10. That's 70 years. That's a mass difference from 969, almost 70 years. So 900 years different roughly. Imagine even to live over 100 and live physically fit. So here we have to relearn about that diet, that Edenic diet. So the whole foods, I want to introduce you to this whole food plant-based diet. Just think about it, whole food. So if you go shopping in the supermarket and you're picking up items, is this processed? Is this food item refined? Most times it might be in a packet, but you do have like nuts and seeds in packets, and there are still some healthy things, like olives can be in a packet or it can be in a bottle jar. And so you have that, but the whole food is what you're looking for. I'm looking for my whole olives. I'm looking for my whole corn, as opposed to corn chips. You can see, right? I'm looking for my whole grain, my whole brown rice, as opposed to white rice. And literally question yourself, what am I taking up from the shelf? What am I putting into my basket? And when you do that, then you're gonna have, a better choice. So it's a whole food, plant-based diet. It's made up predominantly of unprocessed fruit, vegetables, unrefined grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, unrefined, and excludes all animal products, milk, poultry, fish, dairy, eggs, um, milk drinks and shakes and all of those coming from animal sources or have those ingredients in it. We want to exclude all of that. They have been shown to have no negative side effects when individuals go on a whole food plant-based diet. So I want to establish a couple points why a whole food plant-based diet. One, a whole food plant-based diet is the healthiest way to reach your weight loss goal and keep the weight off for long term. Do you know anyone who have tried certain diets and they lose the weight and then it just bounces right back as though it's spring, right? And it just bounces them right back. Once they make a change, they are not able to sustain it. And they say, okay, and they come right back up to their weight that they were trying to lose. But a whole food, it's not just about making a change with a whole food plant-based diet for now, lose the weight, and then you go back. No, this is to keep. This is a one for a lifetime. In fact, just today, I was looking at some material from the Blue Zones, and if you want to, they're talking about helping individuals, that we should be helping individuals to live to be 100. Doesn't that sound good? How can we, as providers, help individuals to live to be 100, to live to 100, and using just this plant-based foods? And so if doing that, it means you're going to keep up with it for long. And not only are you going to live to the age of 100, but you're going to make it there healthfully, safely. But to keep within the diet is what is important. No cheating, okay? And so a 2020 systematic review notes that a whole-based diet promotes significant weight loss. The review notes that those following a plant-based diet, they showed more weight loss compared with the omnivorous groups. So they noticed more weight loss in the plant-based diet eaters compared to other diets when they had dairy or animal products in it. And so we have this lovely quotation coming from Counsels on Diets and Foods, page 313. It says, grains, fruits, nuts, and vegetables constitute a diet chosen for us by our Creator. And these foods, prepared in as simple a manner as possible, are the most helpful, they're the most nourishing, they give you a strength. Let me see your strength. They give us a power of endurance, a vigor of intellect, sharp mind, and memory that are not afforded by a more complex and stimulating diet. How many individuals are suffering dementia these days? Alzheimer's, brain fog, memory loss. You don't know how to describe it, or it's not yet diagnosed. And you have also depression, anxiety stepping in. So mental fatigue, all of these, or you just feel tired all the time. You have no strength, you're fatigued. Could it be the diet? Again, we're focusing on diet this evening. It could be a number of factors, but yes, the diet has a role to play. So when we're having and consuming legumes would be included in here as part of the grains and the seeds and the nuts and the vegetables, the fruits. These prepared simply, not no complicated matter. When I look in the plate, I should know that's corn, that's cabbage. There I have red beans. You could identify the item, okay? So just simple preparation. Okay, so someone is sharing, I'm suffering with metabolic syndrome. Well, I'm glad that you are here because this class will help you really well. This will help you. Look and see. A plant-based diet, fruits, vegetables, grains, and legumes, they have what? Fiber. They are higher in fiber, which fills you up without adding extra calories. And so you don't have to worry about portion sizes, but I will tell you what portion to look at and what to look out for. But fiber also helps to feed your gut bacteria. Many times individuals are concerned about, what about a prebiotic? Your vegetables, your fiber foods are your prebiotics. That would help you to feed your beneficial gut bacteria. And you don't have to worry about getting a probiotic if you had sufficient fiber and variety of fibers in your diet. It also helps to improve your body's ability to turn food into energy when you have fiber in your diet, and I'll show you how. So the fiber is essential. Animal foods have no fiber. Meat, fish, chicken, the dairy. Animal foods have no fiber. We're getting the fiber from our plant foods, plants as food. So if we're using animals and their byproducts, fiber is not in there. So, and it's important for us to understand, because when it comes to satiety, for you to eat and be satisfied, that you don't overeat, fiber in your food makes a difference. And we want to see the balance, because sometimes individuals may have rice and peas. I ate vegetables, food, I ate a plant-based diet. Okay, what did you eat? Rice and peas. Uh-huh. That only? Anything else? No. That's not enough for balance. You really want to have something else. So how about getting some broccoli? How about getting some cabbage, some carrots, some bok choy, some lettuce? Yeah? How about let's have some papaya with that? And squash and so on. So you do need that whole balance, and we'll show you for your food. What about legumes? Beans and peas and lentils tend to promote weight loss in those who eat them daily. So it's an option to skip? No, no. As a matter of fact, I would like you to have your peas and beans at least 2 meals a day for your breakfast and your lunchtime. So there you would have sufficient protein content, fiber, nutrients in them that your body will do well with. So beans are more satisfying and filling. That's why I'm looking to see that in the breakfast meal. And it's a great source of protein than beef, and they're better for your weight loss, beef or chicken or any of those. So your peas and beans, we're swapping them, bringing them in, and taking the animal protein out because we're looking to keep that plate and lose the weight. And so for your breakfast, we want to see the peas and the beans. For your lunch, we need to see that peas and the beans. Here's another point. What about whole grains? People who eat more grains, especially whole grains, also tend to have lower body weights than people who avoid them. Okay, so individuals who say, I want to lose weight, but I'm not doing carbs. You hear that? I'm not doing the carbs. I'm not eating the grains. Well, carbs includes your vegetables and your fruit. And so they cut down on that and go on a low carb, and they don't get to achieve the results that they're looking for. Fruits and vegetables contain flavonoids and other nutrients, and they are found to be helpful for weight maintenance. So make sure you're getting your berries, your citrus fruits, your peppers, your leafy greens, your broccoli, and so forth, and get the range of minerals and vitamins. Now, while we're losing weight, we also want to still maintain some muscle mass. You don't want to lose the weight and be flabby. So you want to maintain muscle mass. And so in the vegetables, you have the fiber that would keep you nice and tight. And here's something to note. Now, say you have your meal, and that would cause your glucose levels to rise in your bloodstream. That can be used as a fuel for energy. And so after an hour to 2 hours, and then it begins to wane and to let go down. But when we have our meal, here's a note on that. How does that help us with our weight loss? This gets very scientific, so listen up. When a person eats a low-fat vegan diet, right, notice I said low-fat a vegan diet, total plant-based, and you're not overdoing with your nuts and your seeds, because sometimes I see folks, they're eating their nuts and they tell me, oh, well, I was eating too much nuts. Maybe. If you have a nice handful of nuts at your breakfast and at your lunch meal, you very well can be overdoing. You want to close that handful, okay? Close it tight. And that's just what you're going to have, like about 7, 8 nuts inside of there. Not a handful open, not a bowl full. So low-fat diet. For a few weeks, you start on this diet and you're eating a vegan diet for a few weeks, your body will begin to use insulin more efficiently. So those who are concerned about their metabolism, those who are concerned about weight loss, or even our diabetics, when you have insulin, you may hear your insulin is being produced by your pancreas, and it's not doing its work because you have what? Insulin resistance. So the insulin goes to the cell, open up, let me put glucose inside of you. No, the cell says no, because I am resistant. Right? Because a lot of time it's the high fat on the body. So now as we want to lose the fat, we're not going to overdo with the fat in our nuts and seeds, okay? Be moderate. But what happens? The cells begin to breathe. And oh, it's not all gluey inside of here anymore. I can open my door. The fats around my cell, my receptor site, it's just breaking down. It's melting away because all the fiber is coming in to sweep that out. So your body begins to feel better. You become more insulin receptive. Insulin is that hormone that helps to move nutrients like the sugar, the glucose, from your bloodstream into your cells, where it's stored nicely as glycogen. Now, with better insulin sensitivity by your cells will make will take the nutrients into them and take it in easily and quickly convert some of that in fuel into heat energy. So instead of storing some of the glucose in your fat cells, it uses that up as energy and burn it off. And in that way, you find that you're not storing the glucose in your fat cells because your liver cells, they're taking it in, the glucose, and they take just what they need. And the rest in the bloodstream, that's going to burn off. It's not going to send it all to the fat cells because now even the fat cells are not resistant to the insulin and they're working well. So they'll just take what they need and they'll not be greedy. They'll not put, and the rest would work out. So that's how the body works nicely. Even though this boost is small, it happens 3 times a day with your meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner or supper. Over time, these small increases in calorie burning will add up. And the person, you would find that you would lose your weight. So you're going to burn off that energy, that glucose, instead of storing it in your fat cells. Okay, so that's what the plant diet does. Individuals who claim to want to try a low carbohydrate diet, here's what's happening. You're doing plants, you're doing, snacking on fruits and nuts. You're having legumes, you're doing some grains because you're not going on all. Some may exclude rice or even ground provisions. And but then you have for your lots of protein coming from your animal sources. So a low carb diet tend to result in reduced fiber intake and increased intake in animal protein. That means you're increasing cholesterol, eating it dietarily. You're increasing saturated fat coming from those animal foods. And diets high in animal protein, they are linked to what? Heart problems. They are linked to diabetes. They are linked to certain types of cancers. So do we want to risk this? No. Okay. So if you're trying to lose the weight, let's not go for a low carb diet. That's not going to help us. Where instead a whole food plant-based diet will have less saturated fat, low in cholesterol or no cholesterol. So you're not eating it and increasing your own cholesterol levels. It will also be protective against heart problems, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and metabolic syndrome, autoimmune conditions, arthritis of varied types, and even cancer, okay? A plant diet will be protective against those things. What about a ketogenic diet? That tends to limit protein and focus mainly on fat. And you see the fat here in the oils, high oil cooking, avocado oil. You have the seeds and nuts, butters, nut butters. They tend to have a lot of that. You have the animal protein and carbs very small, as in your fruits and your vegetables. And look at what you're excluding. You're excluding grain, your bread, your rice, grain of all types. You're excluding fruit, potatoes, sugar. This is not what we want. Well, leave the sugar out. But this is not what we want because there are some foods here. We just saw grains are important for our diet that God gave to us. And they are important. And in fact, the grains, the fruits, and nuts, and vegetables, they constitute all the nutritive properties that we need, that our body needs. So when individuals go on a ketogenic diet, they increase their risk of heart disease, diabetes and inflammation and inflammatory conditions will come upon you like a storm. And I've seen individuals who would be on a ketogenic diet and they do get sick. It's not sustainable. They'll get sick and they'll have to go back to a balanced diet. So what about carbs? Sometimes individuals say no carb. I'm not a low carb, no carbs. But note that carbohydrate is pretty much a main source of fuel, and it also is part of the nice diet, the grains. In our carbohydrate diet, we have our grain, we have our beans, our legumes, you've got your fruits and vegetables, because they do have carbs in them. In fact, all foods have carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. You may just have more concentration in one or of those than the other, or a nice balance. But here in our fruits, we have carbs. We're eating carbs all the time, and they're used as a great source for energy. And 3/4 of our plate, you would see, have these things. They lower your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even obesity. So how do I get started? Would be a big question. And let's go. How do I get started on a plant-based diet? Number one, it's follow it completely. We want to follow it completely for at least 3 weeks because it takes like about 17 days to change a habit, to change your taste buds. Give yourself 17 to 21 days to change your taste buds and help you to appreciate the healthy food. When you have the healthy food, you'd say, wow, I can really taste the vegetables. I can really taste the fruit. I can taste the grain, the texture, the smell, and I feel full. I feel satisfied. I'm not hungry. So you go on this for start off 3 weeks, no cheating. And by then you get used to it, that you're able to continue and plan for it. Don't just get into it haphazardly by just scraping through your cupboards, whatever you have. Go to your market and purchase the produce and come back home so that you have your pantry stocked, your cupboards stocked, and ready, your refrigerator ready with all the items that you need. Now, once you prepare, it helps you to prevent the cheating. It helps you to prevent the lapses because you have items and don't wait to run out of, always replenish in time. If it sounds too challenging for you to make this switch from the start, then let's start at least 2 days for the week on a total plant diet. 2 days, you can do that out of 7. Make a start, but be consistent with meatless and dairy-free and everything Monday and Wednesday. And on those days, you be very specific, or maybe it might be Monday and Saturday. And you be very specific on those days, you're going to be total plant diet. Okay. And once you are able to achieve that, then we start adding another day. Make it 3 days, then make it 4 days. And just having the meat items less and less. By then, you would begin to appreciate the plant food better. You would see that you're not falling down, you're still standing, it tastes good, and you're able to accomplish your goal. Getting a friend or family member to join you can be very supportive. A colleague can be supportive in helping you with this dietary change. Now, in getting started, get a notebook and write down what you ate for breakfast, what you ate for lunch. Because if you start talking to me and telling me that I made the switch, but I'm not losing the weight, then I would want to know what you're doing. I want to know what you're consuming. Can I have a look at your meals? So write it down, what you're doing for breakfast, what you're eating for lunch, what you're eating in the supper time, and comments or symptoms. How did it make you feel? Did it make you feel overfull? Were you satisfied? Were you starved? As you make a change, you may, just maybe, especially if you want that snack in between meals, you'll miss that snack and your body would seem like it's craving for the snack in between, but you don't really need it if you put the diet together well. And choose your day to start. Don't just think, well, I would start. Be very specific with your time for starting. And if it's the first of next month, you set your date and you start in fresh into it. That means don't go killing off all the animals now and eating them, okay? Um, Now, choose foods from minimally processed plant sources. Avoid all animal products. Avoid the and limit your saturated fat. I put that saturated fat that may come from coconut. Okay. So individuals like to use coconut milk. No, no, no. Don't get used to putting coconut milk into your dishes. You put saturated fat in there. So it's going to be lower if you did grate a coconut and added it in. If you did olive oil do have some level of saturated fat. So it's going to be lower, but it's not coming from animal sources. And what about vegetable oils? And I'm referring to olive oil and coconut oil, not soybean oil, not canola oil, not vegetable oils. Those oils are high in omega-6 and tends to increase inflammation in your body, not avocado oil, So let's stay with the olive oil, coconut oil, they're okay. Some parts of the world, you may call it palm oil, okay, but very little if you have to use it at all, and no frying of foods, no deep frying whatsoever, because in that way you're putting fats into your body and they're going to go what? Into your fat cells, stored as fat, and keep you with your weight. So you want to lose the weight, we can reduce and almost eliminate the oil in the cooking. Again, oil do not grow on trees, it's processed. So let's eat the almonds instead. Let's eat the olives instead of the olive oil, and you'll be fine. So let's look at the plate. We have what we call a power plate. And if we move to a power plate, meaning you're going to see in your diet, in your plate, the grains, the vegetables, your legumes, your nuts, your seeds. Those are important. The nuts and seeds are not merely snacks. They are part of our diet to eat every day. They contain minerals that you may not necessarily get in other foods, so they're important. And then your fruits in a wide variety. Wherever in the world you are, you have an abundance of fruit to choose from. So make your selections, get that in. Many times individuals don't eat fruit. You may have grown up not eating fruits. In your community, not many people eat fruits, especially in some of the Caribbean islands or even other islands where you live close to the coastline. You're getting fish and other things. So lots of times people don't know about eating fruits and their and even vegetables, but make the change and have that. So you use this power plate with these items as you make your selection at every meal. This is what you're looking for. Anything outside of here, it's foreign to the body and will increase inflammation. Do you see fish in here? Anyone? Do you see chicken in here? Do you see
No.
animal milk? No, we're not seeing any dairy milk, no goat milk. We're not seeing butter. Do you see cheese in here? We're not seeing those items in there. So notice eggs. What about eggs? Are we seeing eggs in here, even if they came from healthy chicken?
No.
Fed beef. No, no. So anytime we eat food outside of God's design for the human body, listen to this. You are increasing inflammation in your body because the body recognizes it as foreign, alien, and will mount up an inflammatory response to fight it. I'll repeat that. Anytime we eat foods outside of God's design and his diet, outside of God's design, our bodies would see those items as foreign. And what does it do with a foreign invader? A virus comes to your body, it's going to mount up an inflammatory response and seek to fight that. So it's the same thing. It's building up an inflammatory response to fight off your chicken, to fight off your cheese, to fight off your eggs, to fight off the butter in the cookies. And what you've got now is inflammation moving around in your bloodstream. When we eat like that, day after day, meal after meal, no wonder we have inflammation in our bloodstream. No wonder more than 2/3 of our population are facing arthritis these days. In fact, it's like 2 in every 3 women have some form of arthritis, and 1 in every 2 men have arthritis right now. So some form of arthritis. So if you're not, then keep that path. But inflammation in the body over time will contribute to autoimmune conditions, cancer, getting at those tissues, breaking them down, breaking down bone, breaking down cartilage, and making us weak, just increasing your risk for infectious agents. So we want to go on an anti-inflammatory diet, and it's simply this: exclude those animal foods. And then they're not essentially food as God designed our body to function. And when we do that, it's gonna be helpful to us. Now, again, I remember I talked about planning. So don't just like drop everything and you didn't plan and bring the healthy foods in. It's important for us to go shop and bring the healthy foods in. It's important for us when we shop to leave those unhealthy foods out of the diet. Look at here. Your eyes could go, just buzzing, trying to identify all of these. There's so many foods. When we talk about egg, okay, so eggs. If we say what? Cheese, eggs, cheese, butter, fish, give me another one. Chicken, give me a beef, sausages coming from animal products, and
Fish.
fish, yeah, and the dairy milk and all of those, you can count them. But when you go to the plant kingdom, we have variety, thousands. As a matter of fact, when it comes to antioxidant, there was a study looking at antioxidants in plant foods, whereas for animals, they were looking for antioxidants found in mouse animals. And they came up, if I remember exactly, they came up to like about 2 to 300 and stop. When it came to the plants just came in like a wave, like about 3,000 plus plant foods, different plant foods that they found antioxidants in. Okay, that's what God gave to us in abundance. 3,000 plus plant foods. How many plant foods do we know? Right? So around the world, there's so many varieties. No matter where you live, you can find plant foods. So make the effort, make the effort. Again, plan and prepare. Make sure you have the foods in your kitchen, in your cupboards. Plant your own food so that you could sustain yourselves and your families. And get friends who plant. So when you have one crop, they have another. And in so doing, go to the market, buy in season, and it will be cheaper. So make sure you have those items. When it comes to whole, um, whole grains, what are the examples? You have your sprouted bread, whole wheat pasta. Again, that's a little processed, but you have the oatmeal, corn. Polenta is like ground cornmeal, millet, quinoa, brown rice, barley, bulgur, buckwheat, oat groats, or the buckwheat groat, whole wheat or corn tortillas If you got a little refined, but the base is whole grains. And then we want to try to have whole grains at every meal, with your breakfast, with your lunch meal. May not necessarily be in the evening for supper because I want you to eat something very light for supper. But even for supper, you can do like a whole grain bread, toast it. The more dry the bread is, it's crispy, but it's also easier to be digested. And that evening supper meal should be about 6 p.m. Okay, what about legumes? What variety do we have? Black beans, kidney beans, black-eyed, pinto, canelli, navy, limer, and all your peas, your lentils, variety of lentils, your red, yellow, green, brown lentils, tofu, edamame, garbanzo or chana, hummus that's made from garbanzo beans or chana. You blend that, put nice flavors to it, and have a dip. And then you could, all of that is ways of getting or spread on your bread. And not only do you do hummus with garbanzo bean, you can do choose any bean and you mash it up, put your seasonings in it, and spread that on your bread. And then you want to avoid the meat, the dairy, and replace them with your beans. This is important so that you have your good source of protein, iron, and zinc. And what is the portion size? At least a half cup of your peas and beans twice a day with your breakfast and with your lunch. So many times individuals leave the meat kind out, not recognizing that you were having sausages or eggs for breakfast, and then lunchtime you're having a piece of chicken or fish. You got two times of having that protein. So let's replace it with our peas and beans. We do need, you need adequate amount. Okay, fruits and vegetables. Fruits. Okay, so fruit should be fresh. Fruit ideally, but frozen is another option. Canned, if you have canned fruit, but without heavy syrup. Some people do canning for when they have fruit in season. And so at other times, mango not in season, and you bring your mango out. You can can your food, but not the heavy syrup in the cans. What about berries and apples and oranges, bananas, pineapple, mangoes, grapes, pears, all of the wherever you're at, guavas. So all of those are good fruit options. Watermelon, choose fruit in its whole form. That's better for us as opposed to juicing these fruits or vegetables. Many times people like to do smoothies. We're talking about metabolism. I've seen when individuals are doing smoothies every morning, and when you break that, when you take the good fruit, and you take it and you blend, you're breaking the fiber and exposing the sugar. When you drink that, you're getting an influx, a high increase of glucose into your bloodstream all at once. That's going to cause sugar spikes and problems for you. I've seen where individuals would be doing these juicing smoothies repeatedly, a month after year, and became diabetics. They go to check their glucose level is always high because they're doing the smoothies. Up to this week, we had someone like that. You're doing the smoothies. Well, today's Monday, so that was last week. So the thing is, leave the smoothies alone. Eat the fruit instead. We're talking about losing the weight and making you more insulin receptive. Let's eat the fruit instead, as opposed to blending them. And when you eat the fruit, you got the fiber. And fruit will make an excellent evening meal for your supper time. And, have two apples and so on, vegetables, nuts. So I think we need to pause here because our time is up. I'll give you 2 more minutes because I did start a little later. So vegetables, both raw vegetables like your lettuce, cook your veggies. We're talking about weight loss. Cook your vegetables, cook your broccoli, your cabbage, your celery, your bok choy, your kale. A lot of times individuals like to take kale and juice it for the green for their green drink. Nothing wrong if you want to have a green drink in the morning time. I find sometimes it helps to give you a boost, especially if you're not well. I would take celery and lettuce as part of that green drink. I'll add wheatgrass or barley grass, to help with that and that green drink. Or you can take a carrot and put in there just to give a nice flavor. But don't do the kale and the cabbage and so on because they of those cabbage family foods tend to cause disruption with your thyroid function. And individuals will end up getting an enlarged thyroid when you juice kale, when you juice cabbage and be drinking them raw. You end up having an enlarged thyroid gland, and that can slow down your metabolism and you're sluggish and you're putting on the weight and you don't know why you're feeling fatigued. It's because of your poor thyroid function, the insufficient thyroid hormone, because those foods tend to rob the thyroid gland from absorbing iodine that you may have in your salt, iodized salt. So the vegetables, however, like the kale, the spinach, collard greens, broccoli, all these are vegetables that we can consume. They contain high amounts of nutrients, B vitamins, give us iron to keep our blood count happy and everything. And they have calcium in them. Where does the cow get its calcium from? It's eating the leafy greens. And they have vitamin C in them as well, in your broccoli and your cabbage. And you can add carrots for vitamin C content combined with these greens, leafy vegetables, and help to boost your iron level up. So sweet potatoes, all the squash and onions and garlic, all of those. We want to see that we're eating them every day. They will make up at least half of our plate, half of your plate with your vegetables. What about the nuts and the seeds? I did talk about close a handful. You have nuts, nut butters, a variety of nuts, your walnuts. It's going to be four walnuts, halves for your serving size. That's going to fit in your hand. Pecans again, close your hand. Make a closed fist, the measure. Your nuts, your nut butter, your seeds, your avocados, olives, all those are sources of fats. And they tend to help us. We're not going to snack on them. Let's use that as for our dessert because it's nice to have a dessert. And so we're gonna have that as our dessert. And then we will be able to enjoy that. Don't be snacking on nuts. Have me pointing my finger, sorry. Well, don't be snacking on with nuts. When individuals snack with nuts, that's how you get extra fat content coming in. And that could account for too much fat in the bloodstream. And what do you see? It's going to build up, cause us to have heart-related issues, or start building up in our fat cells. So we want to make sure we incorporating nuts and seeds, the avocados, the olives, and so forth, nice sources of fats. The nut butter is great, but just at the end of your meal time, what would that do for weight loss? It's gonna, the fats at the end of the meal, it will help us to feel full, to feel satisfied until your next meal time. Okay, and this is the closeout point. Until your next meal time, you have the fats at the end of your breakfast, at the end of lunch, not in the evening meal. Okay, not in the 6 o'clock evening meal, because that's going to be too much fat for the body to get rid of before 3 hours time you're going to go to bed. So in the evening, no nuts, no seeds, no fat, not butters and so forth, just in the breakfast, just at the end of the lunch meal. And when you do that, it would give you that satisfaction, hold you until your next meal time, and you would be blessed. So there we will pause and continue for next week, because it's just like get into the detail and also to show you how you would eat and what kind of menus to have. So I need to share my screen. 1 minute. Let me share the screen. Share. Okay, so as usual, I like to give you a recipe, but today it's a little content. So this is what a plate looks like. Your choice of drink is water. These are so many, varieties, and there are more. Notice a protein in this corner, the whole grain, or your carbohydrate, yam, dasheen, edos, potato, sweet potato. And for weight loss, I'll go for sweet potato as opposed to the Irish potato because it's lower in glycemic index of sweet potato. And the fibers, half of the plate, let it be from a fruit content or vegetable. So we'll talk more about that. As a beginner, for making a switch your breakfast meal, let's see, you may be accustomed to having hot cereals on morning, such as oatmeal, cream of wheat, rice porridge, quinoa porridge. We make that at the center. We also do barley, as a hot cereal, or corn, grits, and so you can have that, and you can just blend some apples and make a nice applesauce or a fruit of choice. Drizzle it on for your sweetener because you would like a little sweet, or simply sprinkle some raisins and dates in there. And then you can put your seeds and your nuts, sort of power up that cereal. Put your seeds in your nuts in that cereal. You have your fruit, look on your plate for your choice of grain. You can have a slice of whole grain bread with some nut butter on it. And or you can do any of these root items. You can have tofu, you can have peas or beans. You can do a burrito with tofu, peas, or beans. Black beans like to go in burritos. And with a salsa, yummy. That sounds really good. So you can try that. And that's where we will look at. So skip. Then for our scripture text for today, Jeremiah 33:6, behold, I will bring it health. That's what we want from the Lord, health and cure. And I will cure them and will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. Okay, a friend shared that with me this weekend. Behold, I will bring it health and cure, and will cure them, and will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. When we eat the nice whole grain whole food plant-based diet, our bodies tend to be calmer. You're not having increased inflammation, so your cortisol levels are going to be reduced. That means you're going to cope better with life issues, and you have a more peaceful life, and you're seeking truth, right? To know what's the true diet, what's the best diet in order to lose the weight. Yes, that's right. We're not drinking with the meal. We're drinking that water in between the meal times. So someone asked, how about egg white? No, that would show up in one of the slides coming about egg whites. We don't want to do the eggs or the egg whites. Okay. So that brings us to the end of our session for today. I trust that it has been helpful to you. Again, it might have been some things familiar, but at least if you're seeking to lose weight, we're getting a little bit more descriptive, especially when it comes to the diet. And in that way, we will be having, in that way we would gain the benefits that we're looking for. Thank you. I thought I shared my screen with you, and then it seemed like I didn't. So this is the Bible text, Jeremiah 33:6. And yeah, so now we put in here the WhatsApp group. This is for True Life, True Health Lifestyle Center. And this is the WhatsApp group for us. If you get on there, then for all of our announcements, we will post in there, and you would see the link when we are advertising again for the cancer support group, the diabetes support group. You will get the links for those WhatsApp groups, and it's important if those topics are of interest to you to join those WhatsApp groups as well, because when we put information in it, you'd be able to see some resources that we'd be sharing in those groups that we would not put in the general True Health group. And yeah, so if there are no questions, any questions, anyone? Was the information clear? Was it helpful? Is there anything you were not sure about? If not, what about our YouTube channel? Let me see if I find the YouTube channel is where the this session would be posted. And get to my channel. And there you would be able to see a recording of this session. Okay, so all right. Maybe it's evading me. Oh, there. Yeah, it's just under my name, YouTube, YUTUBE. Okay, there you go. So let's have a word of prayer as we close out. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for our session today. We pray for your continued blessing to be with each individual, especially those who are seeking to lose weight. We pray that you will give them the confidence that they can do it. No need for starving, that you have provided an option because your diet is the one that is supreme above all else, and that works, that is sustainable, and can keep them in a healthy weight. Be with us now as we separate until our next time. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, everyone, and do have a blessed evening.